The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio. From hot dogs to cool kitties, this is Darkside of the Pooch.
Jump right into Darkside of the Moon. I wanted to get it before you started talking to me, because you and I speak here on Darkside of the Moon. You're like, you just said, wow, he had a crazy day today. You were short-staffed, and you said you had some crazy cases. So I rolled it, man. I was like, hold on. Let's roll the show, because I wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything in Darkside of the Pooch. Rossbridge Animal Hospital, he's the man. Dr. Reb Stewart, of course, the number 208-0301, also rossbridgevet.com. And you can see their beautiful store out there, the Rossbridge Animal Hospital. I go out there every time my animals have any issues. Right now, thank goodness, it is a good thing. But I do have some questions about a potential new dog that I'm bringing into the Curry clan. So I'll
all right.
Yes, and you're going to be getting some more business here. But you said you had a very interesting day. Do share, my friend.
Oh man. So days like this, you kind of like, in some ways you have a hard time remembering what you did. Like, in some ways the day seems like it lasts 2 hours, and in other ways it seems like it lasts, 2 years. But so anyway, like any other business, sometimes we're short staffed, and there's a lot of people, I guess, with the flu right now.
Yes.
And so we've got a couple staff members out with the flu, and this is not the first time this has happened. It won't be the last, but so everything takes longer when you're shorthanded. But today we had some really interesting cases. We had a dog that ate an entire bag of dog food. And so that takes some time to get sorted through.
Now, hold on a sec, because now dogs will eat till they get sick. So I'm assuming it ate till it got sick, right?
Yes.
Yes. But it's dog food. So what's the worst that can happen? Is it like me overeating a steak?
Yeah, it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time. And sometimes what can happen is that they eat so much that they actually will have decreased motility of their GI tract. So it'll take, you would think, if you have tons of food in your stomach, that food's dying to get out.
How much dog food are we talking here?
I mean,
30 pounder or 40 pounds?
No, I mean, it wasn't that much, but I mean, on the x-ray, this dog's, half its abdomen was its full stomach.
Wow.
So, and sometimes when your stomach gets stretched out like that, it doesn't move things out as fast as you think that it would, because it's stretched, so it takes even longer to empty out than you may think. So, that's just supportive care. But again, it's time consuming, and so it's, when you're shorthanded, it kind of eats into your day.
I've ever heard of that. I've heard of dogs getting in the trash. I've heard, dogs and the puke in the, but I've never heard of a dog eating an entire bag of dog food.
So this was, a longtime client, one of our earliest clients, and her son, her college-age son, got a new dog and brought the dog home, and with it came a nice big bag of puppy food, and puppy food is higher in calories, and so usually it's very delectable, especially to older dogs that haven't had puppy food in a long time.
Yeah,
and so the puppy was in a kennel, and its food was just sitting out, and so, the son's mom's dog comes into the garage and sees the puppy crated up and a big bag of dog food just free for the taking, and he just dives right in.
Got into it. All right. And it's strange though, because what was it? What was the monkey? What was the movie? The Seven Monkeys. What was the gluttony? What movie was the movie about?
Oh man, the movie Seven.
Yeah, that thing. And there's a scene in there, gluttony. He's going through the 7 deadly sins, and gluttony's one where he actually made an individual eat themselves to death. Which sounds like
spaghetti.
Which has got to. Oh my God! I had a hard time eating pescetti after seeing that movie, because it was like throwing up on vodka or something like that. You never want to drink it again. But in the movie, if you've seen the movie, you're like, oh my gosh, what a horrible death that would be.
Listen, that movie holds up. That is still. That movie is incredible. And if you have not seen that movie, if anybody is out there listening,
it's weird,
you have
man.
not seen the movie Seven.
Have you ever seen
has it all.
Have you ever seen Brazil?
No.
Go see the movie Brazil.
Okay.
Just go see it's an old 80s movie. It's the weirdest, strangest. It is a movie that will stay with you. It's just weird enough that you want to stay with it. It is the most bizarre, strangest, weirdest flick. I don't remember. Someone told me about it, and I could not stop watching it. And it's just one of those movies that will stay with you for like a couple of weeks.
Dude, you are speaking my language right now.
It is. It's called Brazil, man. It is
Yeah, this is a
weird.
1985. This is a dystopian science fiction black comedy.
It is a weird.
Directed by Terry Gilliam.
Yeah. It is a weird movie, brother.
It gets a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Check it out, man. It's wild. It's crazy.
Can I give you one since we're on the subject?
Yeah.
This is a new one. Have you seen The Substance? You've heard of The Substance?
I've heard The Substance. I haven't seen it.
All right. So it basically, so this is kind of Demi Moore, I guess. I don't know if she ever went away, but I think some people were saying this is kind of her comeback film. It's got Demi Moore in it, and I think it was released this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the premise is that there is this thing called The Substance, and you can take it, and it will, from yourself, it will produce a younger, more, a healthier, a more beautiful, a more well-rounded person from you.
Okay.
But the catch is that you both cannot operate at the same time. Like, you're technically one person.
Yeah.
And so when, and it's not a clone. I mean, in the movie, this person, the actress, is completely different than Demi Moore. They look totally different. But what happens to one happens to the other, but you can't operate together. One is basically in a coma, quote unquote, for a week, while the other one is out doing their thing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it is
Wow.
incredible.
Really?
It's bizarre, and it's grotesque, and it's sad. And I mean, it's The Substance. You got to watch The Substance.
All right. The Substance. Okay. So we got dinner and a movie. All right. We're good. All right. We'll check that out. All right. So you had a dog almost eat it. It would be weird because I would think that when you're eating too much, you're going to start throwing up. The dog just keeps eating.
Right. Because, keys to what? Sorry. We're still working in here.
That's fine.
We're still working.
Give her the key to the safe, man.
There you go. We got a lot of important stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the food, if you think about it, when you put water in dog food, what does it do? It expands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it expands. So you have a stomach that's full of liquid. And when you jam a bunch of food in there, the thing bigger. That, starts out as being like as wide as the tip of your pinky, ends up being twice or three times that size.
Yeah.
So it just swells. And so it will grab onto itself so that sometimes they can't throw it up because in some ways it turns into one giant mass of food.
Yeah. That's crazy. All right. What else? What else has happened?
Well, so in the midst of all this, sometimes I compare myself. I compare this profession to human pediatrics in a lot of ways. And so we had a very close, long time friend of mine. He came in for like a wellness visit. It was just time for his dog to have some vaccines. And it's an old dog, and it's been doing some strange things. But you look at it and you can tell right away that this is something very bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, you allot a certain amount of time for a wellness visit, and occasionally you'll find something that's just got something very seriously wrong with it, which takes a lot longer than just a normal visit. And so that's what happened with him. But unfortunately, his dog it looks like pretty advanced and pretty bad liver cancer.
Oh.
And it looks like the whole liver's affected. But, you kind of went through this. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But you kind of went through this with Frisco, and your question was, I just don't understand how we could go from we're doing okay to where this is the end.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. And, a year ago, the dog was in here and it had blood work done. All the blood work looked fine. And, now the dog's whole liver is eaten up with cancer. And I told him the same thing I told you. I said, he can't talk to you. And if he could, 8 months ago, he probably would have said, hey, I got a little bit of a bellyache. Can we go see the doctor? But he can't do that. And he's not going to give you any other signs.
Yeah. If he could talk and said, I'm having a little bellyache, and you took him in, would it have made a difference?
Yeah. I mean, It could have, depending on,
I mean, you do
you
chemo.
know,
What do you do to keep a dog? If you know if you catch cancer early in an animal in a dog, what do you do?
well, you can resect or remove portions of their liver.
Okay.
I mean, and they can live with, half a liver, or, a third of a liver.
Yeah.
Um, but if it's already something that's in, if it's widespread in the liver, but it's just not real pronounced yet, then, there may not be a whole lot you can do. But when we're dealing with cancer, more times than not, even if they want to pursue, diagnostics and treatment, you're looking at more of a remission than a cure, and
Hmm.
that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Remission a lot of times just means the cancer is not growing and it may be stagnant, but you still have to continue on chemo. And a lot of times that's what we have to do with dogs. It just goes into remission. It's not often that you can actually cure something.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. All right. Well, thanks for sharing those things with me. I've never heard of a dog eating itself to death, and thank goodness it didn't happen.
Well, I don't. Yeah. Hopefully, we will avoid that.
Yeah, hopefully it won't. But a lousy way to go. I mean, you know what I mean? For all the things that dogs do, eating their own poop and running after, mail trucks and stuff like that, to overeat, just to, like, eat itself to death, would seem to be really weird. I did see a couple interesting stories. I always do a little research for the show. In South Florida, I don't know, but you saw this. Pets are receiving a new leash on life. They are using donated human pacemakers.
Yeah.
You and I had talked about this. The procedure takes $3,000 to $4,000 to make done, but evidently you can now donate your pacemaker if it still works. It's in working order, and you can donate it to this clinic. And these people are using these pacemakers on animals. Talk about how that works. How do you know if your dog needs a pacemaker? Does it work? Just kind of walk me through that a little bit.
It's not something that's incredibly common, of course. But a lot of times, just like we finished talking about, sometimes you may not know that your dog needs a pacemaker until it's an incidental finding. Maybe you bring your dog in for just a routine check, and it's going to have its heart listened to.
Hmm.
And an arrhythmia just means that the heart is out of rhythm. It's not beating in time. It's maybe drops a beat, or there's a long time between beats occasionally, and it's an electrical problem in the heart. There's a node in the heart that kind of depolarizes and repolarizes, and it's an electrical conduction, and that's what stimulates the heart to beat. And dogs and cats, for lots of different reasons, they can have arrhythmias. Some arrhythmias can be fixed with pacemakers, and so that's why there's a need for this.
That's pretty
Um,
well.
a, yeah, a pacemaker is not something that general people like me put in.
Hmm.
What general people like me do is, we're kind of the people who say, hey, we hear an arrhythmia, let's run an EKG, and then we see the arrhythmia, and then we would send them, to a specialist
Yeah.
for to the workup and for putting the pacemaker in. But yeah, it works. I mean, they work.
That's pretty cool. Also, starting today, the Puppy Mill Pipeline Act went into effect in New York City. All pet stores now in the state of New York cannot sell dogs, cats, or rabbits.
Wow,
Was not
man.
aware of that. It's a law that's been in effect, or in line to be in effect, for the last 2 years. And today went, so the last week and a half, man. These pet stores have been selling everything they've
Free
got.
dogs.
Yeah, there was an animal. I forget which one. It was $3,850, and it went for $650, because so people have been standing in lines. They're trying to get these pure breed dogs. I can't remember the last time I went to a pet store where they were having. I mean, I've seen cats and dogs because of adoption agencies and stuff, but I can't remember the last time where I actually remember wasn't there one at the Galleria
Absolutely, there
pet
was.
store, and that was
Yeah,
that,
it was right next to one of the big department stores. It was
yeah,
right next to it.
you go to the pinball thing, and then you had to go to Spencer's, and then you'd have to go to the pet store. You always walk to the pet store, and of course the Galleria, they love the traffic, but I hated it because there was so much traffic walking in there, but no one ever bought anything. But they used to sell cats and dogs, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
evidently they used to do that up in New York. Another Puppy Mill
Is
Pipeline
it
Act has gone into play.
isn't that sad? Is To me it's sad that you can't have a store like that anymore, because there was so much mistreatment and abuse of, how the whole process worked. It's kind of sad.
It's really sad. It's really sad. And what really sucks about it is I would trust a PetSmart, an Eds. I would trust those people before I'd trust, like when I got my Havanese, man, we went to some place in rural Alabama, and it was a trailer park. And there were cages on top of cages, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what in the world did we get ourselves into?" And I mean, we took a shot, and we obviously had a beautiful dog for 7 years. Now it died of cancer, whatever it died of. Um, but it was not a good feeling. But Havanese were difficult dogs to find, and so we found someone that had one, and so we thought it was our calling. But you just assume that these big box pet stores are doing things right. But then again, if they're going out and second sourcing their things in order to get, inventory, then I guess they got people out there that are doing, pipeline stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to regulate backyard, breeders.
It really
You
is.
can't, but it's a lot easier to regulate stores.
So since we're talking about my daughter, asked Santa Claus for a puppy dog since we lost our last dog. And I said, it's not going to happen. I'm not taking on another dog for the holidays because I want to do it. I want to do it right. I've got a dog right now that is settled down a little bit. He has not, he has peed in his own bed, but he has not peed anywhere in the house. And I've been taking on walks. We went on a 5-mile walk today. I'm walking him out, and he loves it. He's passed out behind me right now. So if you hear any snoring, you'll know it's Rainer dog. So we're on a good thing here, and so I didn't want to bring a pup in and throw things off until I was ready. And the holidays it's not a good time to do that because a lot of people kind of come in and go on this. So I told my daughter, I said maybe for your birthday in April, that would be a good time. So for some reason, I was at this park the other day and I saw an all white Scotty. It was the coolest looking thing I'd ever seen. I've seen a black Scotty, I've seen color, but I've never seen a white Scotty. And it just sat down, put its paws out, and just laid there in the grass. And I thought, man, what a beautiful dog. So I'm thinking about getting a Scotty. Tell me about Scotties.
Well, I mean, they're great. When you ask a veterinarian tell me about a breed,
Yeah,
at least me, the first thing that comes into my mind is, okay, what are all the bad things that it gets?
yeah, yeah. No,
what are the problems
I
that it
want to hear
has?
those things. I want to hear those things. Yeah.
So they are notorious for getting bladder stones.
Okay.
Humans get kidney stones.
Mm-hmm.
Now, dogs can get kidney stones as well, but it's much more common that they get stones in their urinary bladder. For whatever reason, schnauzers are they're just prone to them, and so when that happens, sometimes they have to be removed surgically. More times than not, they have to be removed surgically.
Okay.
The other thing that they get is what's called hepatopathy, which is it's kind of a benign liver disease. There's really no rhyme or reason for it, and it really doesn't ever hurt them. But it's just, when they get to be middle-aged, when we start running blood work on dogs to catch things, early, almost all of them will have liver values that are elevated.
Okay.
And like I said, it doesn't really hurt them. It's pretty benign, but as they get older, when something wears out, and inevitably something's going to wear out, it's probably going to be their liver.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. All right, so I haven't done this in quite some time. The ex was the person who loved to do research, and she'd get on Facebook and do the whole. And I'm like, just find me a dog. It didn't matter whether it was a mutt or purebred or whatever. I just And so I've actually looked, and I believe there's like a Scotty Club of Birmingham. I saw something, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I thought
sure.
I saw a Scotty Club, which I was surprised by. And so if someone is going to go out and they want to buy a particular type of dog, what's the best time to do it? How do you do it? Do you just research it and go for it? Is there a particular line should you do? Should you talk to your veterinarian first? What's the best line to do it? What should I do in order to get a Scotty by April?
Well, the time frame is whatever, works best for you and whatever works for whatever breeder you're talking to. For dogs that are easy to come by, then, you could go out and you could get, a Labradoodle tomorrow, probably. But for some of these harder breeds to get, you may have to get put on a waiting list, or you may have to make a phone call and the breeder say, well, I don't think we're going to have our next litter for, like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So depending on what kind of dog you want, there may be some planning involved, or there may be a search,
Yeah.
involved. But the best time is whatever's right for you, and when you can find a dog that's ready to have puppies. And then, I think we've always said that, try to get a dog that fits your lifestyle. If you're going to get a German short-haired pointer or a Weimaraner, or something like that, you need to be prepared to do a lot of exercise with it and give it a lot of time outside. But for these type dogs that you're talking about, they don't need a ton of exercise.
No.
I mean, they need as much exercise as any other standard dog. But it's not like you need to take them and run 5 miles a day.
Yeah, and I didn't want to get another big dog because big dogs make big poop. Let me ask you this: if you have Rainer was not the alpha dog, Frisco was, and now he's gone, and so does he automatically take over the alpha dog of the family when he's the only dog left? And if he does or does not, what happens when I bring in that new dog? Is there a reestablishment of who the alpha dog is?
I think if you're an alpha dog, you're an alpha dog. So, with Rainer, if he wasn't the alpha with Frisco, that doesn't mean that he won't, exert his dominance over another dog. But I just don't think that you would have a big issue with introducing them.
Okay.
But and it's interesting because it's always, everything's relative. So, you could have two type A's, and one of the type A's is going to end up being dominant.
Yeah.
And so it may lead you to believe that the other dog isn't a type A. Well, potentially that dog is. He just wasn't as much of a type A.
Yeah.
So you never really know what you're going to get. But anytime you're introducing dogs together, you just want to be sure that you're being cognizant of the fact that they could get in a fight. And so you just want to, eventually they're going to work it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to live under the same roof, and I don't think you have to worry about it. But you just got to be aware that you may have to break up some altercations.
We always talk about, he's Dr. Rab Stewart, Rossburg Animal Hospital, by the way. He's the best. I take my animals to him. I follow him wherever he goes. If he moves to Nebraska, I go to Nebraska. It's the way it is, Rossburg Animal Hospital, but you're not. He's been in this store for 6-7 years. Does fantastic work. 208-0301, 208-0301, right there, Rossburg Animal Hospital. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do that. I thought it was interesting too because my daughter was talking about Christmas. I am not a Christmas stands on its own. Like I will never propose. I know a friend of mine just got proposed and they did it for Christmas, and I'm kind of like, this is kind of weird to me. It's kind of like when a guy wins a national championship, he gets on one knee. I'm like, dude, you just won a national title. Let the proposal stand on its own. And someone always proposes. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like stand on its own. It's kind of like putting chocolate syrup on top of a brownie. It's like, leave the brownie alone. Just eat the brownie and enjoy the brownie. Chocolate syrup on its own. You don't have to have both of them. And so I've always been like, we're not getting a dog for Christmas unless we were planning on getting a dog. And I'm thinking to myself, I can do a 2-for-1, right? Which I think some guys do, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Themselves, if they're going to drop $5 or $6 grand on a rock, they might as well do it for the holidays and kill two birds with one stone. So I'm assuming, do you see an uptick in business in January, February, because people getting dogs in? Yeah. And what's normally the best way? Is it okay to put a dog in a box for a couple hours?
Well, so let me back up for a second. And I think another reason to get it during the holidays is, and I think the thought process is that people are off work and they have time, to try to do a little bit of potty training if they're going to have a week off for Christmas, or, some people, next week they'll be off for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They won't go back to work until the second or third. So I think that's a little bit of the thought process as well. And we also do get in this area, we got a lot of young families. And so we got a lot of Santa that bring puppies, or kittens. So, sure, they'd be okay inside a container, but I wouldn't recommend doing that.
You don't do the Christmas vacation or the cats in the box.
No, I wouldn't do that because it's going to stress it out. I mean, it'd be fine. They can, poke some air holes or whatever.
Yeah, that's the only box with. Yeah, you don't want to shake that gift. All right, good. All right, before I let you go, this Coca-Cola amphitheater is opening up in Birmingham next year. And it's going to be open, I think, sometime in May or June. First show I think is June 22nd, something like that. And they got Jason Isbell coming, Rod Stewart's coming, so they're booking up all these acts all of a sudden. And I knew it was coming because I hadn't seen it yet, but they booked the first yacht rock show. Did you hear about this?
Have you seen the? Yeah, I have. I
Yeah.
didn't hear about it.
I saw the
So
commercial for it. I could not believe Christopher Cross, first of all, is still alive. And second of all, I'm thinking to myself, the way he sings, he should sound pretty good. I think he's in his 70s. But yeah, Toto, Christopher Cross, and Men at Work. Now, I saw the dude that sang for Men at Work. I saw him with Ringo Starr's All Star Band, and he still sounds killer.
he's awesome.
He sounds great. So I'm kind of excited about seeing
Colin
that.
Colin Hay.
Colin Hayes. Yeah, he is, man, he can still, and he used to be able to sing like lights out. He's a great singer. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you, is that something you're going to be into, and what kind of crowd do you think they're going to have? What's the average age? Is it female, male? What's it going to be? A bunch of wussy dudes that are into ferns? What's it going to be like?
I think the average age is probably going to be late 50s. I think
you're
would
right.
probably be the average
That's me,
age.
yeah, that's me.
Um, and it's so funny you mentioned this. So what night was it? Last week. There's a new HBO documentary called Yacht Rock,
Yeah.
and
I, Mike Dubberly, I was talking Fox 6. He's like, dude, you got to watch this documentary. It's fantastic. It's great.
yeah, and so I watched it, and it is very, of course, and it starts with one of my all-time favorites, as you know, Steely Dan. Starts with them, who they are not considered yacht rock, by the way, but it goes into basically they were the genesis for yacht rock.
Yeah.
It's really heavy. Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross, and Toto. Really heavy on that kind of story.
Yeah.
I, I would love to go because these guys like Toto in the documentary gets into this, and I knew this to some extent, but not to the degree that it's talked about in the documentary. The guys in Toto, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, all this, but the guys in Toto were incredible studio musicians.
Amazing. Amazing.
If you, and the documentary goes into this, but if you look on the back of a lot of these albums, you see the guys from Toto all over albums from the 70s and 80s. They played with
everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, they really did. And it was amazing because when they came out with the Grammy Award winning album,
Toto 4.
Toto 4 had Rosanna and Africa and I'll Be Without You. When that album came out, it was kind of like, what's taking you so long? Because a lot of people thought of Toto Hold the Line, some of their older stuff. But it was like they were almost a super group. You know what I mean? When you put everyone together, it was like they were, I don't want to say a reincarnation of Steely Dan because they kind of came along at the same time. When you're talking,
they all played together.
Yeah,
they
they're
were
so
the studio
stinking tight.
Yeah,
and that's one of the reasons that I've really enjoyed. I've never been a really big Toto fan until this Resurgence of Africa came out, and I hate that song. But I used to play it all the time, probably because I had to play it like 15 times a day, and it's just not one of my favorite songs. And I saw some story about it, and I saw that on 60 Minutes, and I kind of got back in their music again. All of a sudden, I started to like their music again, and I'm thinking they got to just sound fantastic in concert. I've not seen them yet, but that would be a great triple bill. That'd be a great show. And of course, Christopher Cross, and I cannot remember who did it, but he was the first person ever to win Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and Artist of the Year all in the same year, and it was in his first album. Yep. And then someone just recently has done that. And I forget who.
Oh, it was Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. That's it. Billie Eilish. Yeah, Billie Eilish was only the second artist to ever do that, and didn't get the trifecta in the same year, which is really hard to believe.
Well, and the documentary goes into this too, because and the person talking really puts it into perspective. It's like, okay, you're a rookie in the NFL, and you win the Super Bowl MVP, the regular season MVP, and whatever other award that you have for your position.
Yeah,
for the year, and it's your rookie year. That's what that is.
That was crazy, man. I remember that first album coming out because, a lot of people, I always talk about, you had your Iron Maiden fans, you had your Rush fans, you had your classic rock fans, and then you had those Steely Dan, Kenny Loggins, soft kind of wussy kids. And I was in the wussy stuff, man. I hate to tell you. I'm sitting there listening to Jim Croce and stuff while everyone else is doing Led Zeppelin and stuff. But I remember that Christopher Cross album coming out. I remember loving that song "Sailing,"
Yep.
And
I
now
love Sailing.
I do too, and I listen to it now, and sometimes I have to be in the right mood. There was another song that he came out with called Laura. I don't know if you remember the song Laura, which was just
I don't remember that one. I remember Ride Like
oh
the
my
Wind
gosh, yeah, Ride Like
and
the Wind.
Sailing.
Um, Say You'll Be
And
Mine. Say You'll Be Mine was another song. Say You'll Be Mine. Say You'll Be Mine until the
yeah, I know
sunshine.
that one. I
That
know
was a
that one.
great song. No, I mean I like the stuff, but he had another song called Laura, and if you hear it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll go, oh yeah, that song. It was pretty. But talk about sappy stuff, dude.
Yeah, it really is. And they said that he's released like 12 albums too. No one knows
Yeah,
about him
yeah.
because it's just like I don't know. He just never lived up to whatever that
I
first
mean,
album was. And it's hard. You can't just win Grammy after Grammy after
I think he's
Grammy.
made a pretty good living. I mean, he did. Did he not do the theme song to the Dudley Moore flick?
Oh, he did. He
Yeah.
did. Yeah, 10. Was it 10? No, it
Um,
wasn't 10.
New York City.
Oh,
York
Arthur.
City.
Arthur. He did the theme for
Arthur. Yeah,
Arthur.
I did Arthur. So I mean, he's been out there for a little bit. I mean, we'll know
Yeah.
more songs than we won't for sure. I don't know. I haven't been to a show like that. Like even Barry Manilow has Copacabana. I mean, even he gets into it a little bit. I'm not sure. I haven't been to a show where it's been that mellow in a long time.
But
I'm not sure if I'm going to fall in love with it. I don't know if I'm going to cry. I don't know if I should take a date. I don't know if I should stand backstage and just keep my mouth shut. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with a Christopher Cross. I really don't.
And I can get, like sometimes things just aren't your cup of tea, but good music is good music, like, look,
Yeah.
I'm not a metal guy. I don't
Yeah.
like heavy metal, but I can appreciate the people who do, but
Mhm.
good music is good music.
Yeah.
But it just may not be your cup of tea.
That's true. All right, I'll see you at the show. I'll get us tickets if you want to go. I'll make sure
I'm
we
in,
take care of
man.
it. I'm doing something with.
I'm gonna wear a captain hat from Captain and Tennille. I'm gonna wear
There
the
you go.
hat.
I'm gonna get the album cover that what was it? Was it a flamingo? Didn't he have an album cover with a flamingo on it?
That was his second album.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh
get
no, it was the first one too. The first one had a
it
flamingo
was
too. The
a
second
pink
one was just
flamingo. Yeah, a pink
yeah.
flamingo. I can see it right now. Man.
Oh man, it'd be a fun show. You can't deny. You can't.
When I don't even know because he didn't look that good back in the '70s. I can't imagine what he looks like now. He was kind of
Watch that documentary, man. You'll see.
Okay, well, tell people how they can find you, man.
You can call us at 208-0301. You can email us rossbridgeanimalhospital@gmail.com, or you can come see us out in Ross Bridge.
Awesome. We'll do it next week. Let's see if we can get together a little early before Christmas so you can take some time off, okay?
Sounds good, buddy.
Love you, bro. I'll talk to you a little bit.
All right, man. Love you.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.